My list of things that I need to put the camera into the car, set up the reverse camera. So we've got this little socket here. I'm going to plug this power cable, I guess, into here, connect these two together and wire that up. This wireless connector then goes into the yellow port on the screen, and then we've got a similar thing over here where we've got a power connector and the wireless port connecting up to the actual camera, which is this thing, and then we're going to seal it with some black silicone at the end. So the next stage is to take out these two screws here and here, which are just these basic screws and nothing special. So I've just used my pry tool here to pop out the rear light. I'm going to put the car into reverse next. Boot is shut, so I've just drilled a little hole here with my miniature drill. I found that if I pull back this lining, I can just see there's a little tiny hole there, and I can run the wire through, and then I've attached these taps after I've run it through so that they can feed into the reverse light circuit. So we've got a green for live, and then there's two black wires here on the Range Rover coming out the back, which are part of a negative relay, I believe. So I've done a bit of research. It seems like that's the okay way to do it. I have just tested the voltage coming out of the circuit to make sure that that's all okay. That's all showing up as 12 volts, so we are more or less good to go now. I'm just going to plumb this all in, and then I will come back with part 2, which should hopefully be the camera connected. Negative ground wire there, so I can connect that up. So if I can just wedge that in without knocking it out, I should be able to show you that this is actually the reverse light. So let's try and do that. And you can see I've got 12 volts more or less. So what I'm going to try and do is connect my screen into that F5 fuse and ground it against that bolt there maybe. And we will see if that's going to be a viable option to connect up the reverse camera, because that will mean a lot less wiring. So I'd much rather go for that than trying to run a wire all the way down the interior of the car. So what I've done is I've just removed the 10 amp fuse from up there somewhere. And I've pulled it out. What I'm going to try and do is just wrap the positive wire around it, and then I'm going to try and unscrew that slightly and connect in the negative there. So I'm just going to wrap the wire around it like that. I'm going to cut this down a bit further so I've got a lot more slack in the two wires, so I can distance them, one into that bolt there and one back into the fuse board, and then that should be enough to give me electricity for my camera and my dash screen. So a slight mistake I made there was to shut everything off just before I put these all these panels back in place before I'd actually connected the wire. The wire's actually only just long enough to reach through, so now that it's actually plugged in, I can just hopefully tuck this in somewhere quite hidden away. There's a little gap there behind the radio somewhere, somewhere just over the edge. And that might even be the air vent actually. I better not put it in there, I'll just stick it down the side there, it's quite out of the way. And then all this wiring can just tuck in here. And then we are more or less done. I just tuck that all in, it doesn't need to be too tight or anything, as long as it sort of holds in place and doesn't rub. Yep. Last resort, what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try to connect directly from that yellow socket there straight into the yellow socket of this screen here, and we'll see if we can get a signal. I don't know if it's the wireless connectors or what, but we'll soon find out. For the reason I've figured out that if I plug in straight through the wired connection, which is just running over my shoulder there and into that yellow connector, you can see the distance. If I have it plugged in and I move into reverse, I now get a picture. So by now I've tried a few different combinations. I've actually managed to pull this up. It's just a case of literally pulling it as I'm doing now, and then it clips in all the way along here in these 6, I think it is, little gaps. You just press those back in. I've actually just pulled this out and run the wire up here, drilled it in at the bottom there, and I just need to make this hole a bit bigger. The drill bit they've given me isn't actually that big, so I can't physically press the camera in to the hole, but it's more or less in place now actually. I've still got the hard wire version running along the length of the car. I don't know if I'm going to show you this very well, but that's just in there tucked away. That wire runs all the way along. I think it is down here. Yeah, you can just about see that there running along the side of the car all the way down to the front, where I have now got my wires plugged into the fuse box. So the wire comes up here, it's all running along the plastic skirting board there. I think you can just see a little bit of it there come through. And let's see, I've got my torch here, it's not still on. Let me just show you that's going into, I need to pull one of these out, so that is going into that fuse there, and I'm sure someone out there will tell me off for this because I'm pretty sure you're not supposed to do this, but it does seem to work, and I've put the neutral into that bolt there, so I just need to take out one of those wires because I was just testing with the wireless transmitter here to see if that would work. It doesn't actually work, so I'm going to pull that out, and hopefully everything will then start to work again as it was before. So now we can get really, really close without hitting the fence. So it's gone off now. I've turned it out of reverse back into the other one. So we'll fold the wing mirrors in and we will go and have a look at how close we got. Oh, we're nearly touching the fence. No, we are touching the fence. Didn't actually see that. See? Pop it down at the bottom. We're pretty close. Oh well, no harm done.